Welcome to episode 76 of A Message From. We are your hosts. I'm Edward.
I'm Alyson.
And,
76?
I always think, what?
Sorry, 76?
No, I'm not the person who's going to talk about what number it is unless it's like a huge, huge milestone.
Okay.
I think I should apologize for my appearance because both of us worked out this morning, but only one of us took a shower.
I did take a shower, but but if you notice, I'm still like very red.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that's just because you have more color. You look redder than I do because you are not as white as I am.
True. And it also is a bit of tan as well. But like, I worked out, I walked home. It was already blazing hot when I walked to the gym this morning. I like worked up a sweat just walking to the gym at 9 a.m. How? But
August.
Yeah, I do stay a bit like red a little bit after I work out really hard. It was a tough one today.
Yeah. I like in my head I was gonna shower, and then by the time I got back, it was like 20 minutes before we were supposed to record, and I was like, I'd rather eat. So I did that instead. I threw on a hat, so there's that.
Yeah. I was thinking, I was like, once the workout ended, the class ended, I was dead. There was no energy, no life left in my body. And I was like, if I don't get home in time to eat something before we start recording, I'm going to be like freaking out, shaking. But I made some BCAAs instead and collagen, and so I've been
sippy on that.
Sippy, and it's helping.
I'm jealous I didn't bring anything to sippy with, but I did drink 2 full glasses of water when I came back. And it made me feel a little sick. So I was like, maybe I don't need anything, but now that I've settled. So I had to do a 12 and a half mile run today.
Oh my God.
Like, it's so long. Saw a whole section of the Ohio River I have never seen before and like never want to see again. But the end of all of my runs are across the 40th Street Bridge, just because it's easier for me to run across there. It's super close to where I am right now. And because it's just like a trail down the river, like no cars. It's like nice and paved, pretty easy. But the problem is the end of the 40th Street Bridge is like super, super downhill. And so I end up like sprinting for no reason other than like the fact that I can.
I like that though.
It's fun, but it's like I have to like time every part of my run to end exactly at the end of the bridge because I don't know how to pace myself down the last like half mile of run, which is just me sprinting at like an 11 out of 10 speed for no reason. And then I get to the end and I die. And so if I have to go like even a minute more, it's a mess. And it's too much like mental stuff when I'm like running, it's too much like, well, if I run 1 extra minute before I turn around, like, will I finish right at the end of the 40th Street Bridge?
This is like prime you. When I'm running, there's no numbers in my head. There's no like distance calculations. There's no trying to like pace myself. There's no, is this like 5K pace right now? No, it's just literally my heavy body just like, oh my God, am I gonna make
thumping the ground?
Yeah.
I will say, it's like very hot, very humid, right? It's August. It's like, I think the hottest day of the week today. And I was like, I'll probably like end up taking off my top at some point and just like holding it while I run. Like, would it be smart for me to just like not wear a top from the get-go? Yes, but I don't do that for some reason. And I didn't do it until I had already turned around. And then because the sun finally came out. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So, but the shorts I am wearing are like very thin and they're like running shorts, but they're like gray. And I don't usually own anything that's not black. So like 10 minutes into my run, I'm wearing two-tone shorts because the entire back of them is dark gray from sweat and the entire front is like light gray. It's embarrassing, but
it's a look. We love a fit king.
Yeah, exactly. It just makes me look like I work out hard. So there's that.
It's a good thing.
We also need to talk about Alone. Sorry, my contacts are whack as always, so I'm like rubbing my eyes more than usual. But we need to talk about Alone. I don't really remember what happened because I watched both episodes like a really long time ago.
Episodes 5 and 6. Like,
people went home.
Everyone broke in these episodes. It broke everyone. Like, they were dropping like flies.
Yeah, you're right.
They were dropping like flies. But there were two things. I'm holding up 4 fingers, but there were 2 things.
Yeah. 2 things.
That just, I was cracking up watching, like, sent me over the edge. Well, the first one, I was cracking up watching and it sent me over the edge. The other one was, like, very sad. But, Chad. Chad is such a Chad. You know how people refer to, like, Tool guys as, like, oh, he's such a Chad.
I've seen like a few things like that, yeah.
Chad is literally a Chad.
Who's Chad again?
He's the guy from like is he from the US Virgin Islands or the British Virgin Islands? And he literally
with, like,
walked up in there
dreads.
with like no preparation at all.
Yeah.
But he had like a mental breakdown. I shouldn't laugh at this. But
no,
it's like,
not.
It was like the middle of the night and he literally lost it. And he was like ranting. He was just like, you guys are just sitting there at home right now, eating your popcorn, sitting on your couch, just eating food, watching me. I'm here for your entertainment, and I'm suffering. And I was like, okay, when you came on the show, you didn't say you were here for people's entertainment. You're here because you want to win $500,000, okay? Stop yelling at us for eating because you can't find food because you came here unprepared. Okay.
It's getting kind of annoying how, like, no one can find food. It's, like, not very fun to watch.
And they get so hype when they finally catch a fish, and the fish is, like, this big.
I know. And then it's, like, 2 scenes later, I got the same person is like, I have no food. And it's, like, this is getting really, like, boring.
Yeah. Well, so, speaking of no food, Nate, our boy Nate, he went home.
Which one was Nate again?
He,
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was Nate went home. Yeah, he was the guy from Michigan, and
oh my god, yeah, who was like truly starving.
He was starved. They said something on the bottom, like he had already lost like 35 pounds since he arrived, and he had been there for not even 4 weeks.
What was the? Oh right, he was the one who had like food poisoning by accident because he drank mouse shit.
Oh no. Yeah. So this is what made me laugh. He drank squirrel poo. Yeah, he accidentally drank squirrel poo, and then it made him sick, and he was like barfing, and then he was like, "Okay, I gotta go home."
Yeah,
Nate.
I was like, "That seems very dumb." That seems very dumb.
Squirrel poo.
But on the upside, somebody shot a deer. I don't remember the guy's name.
Oh my gosh!
But that was wild.
Not Coulter. Who was that?
No,
it's the guy from like. The boat. Is he from Idaho or Iowa? He's from one of those.
Everybody from one of those places.
Yeah. Well, there's someone from Pittsburgh or from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Nate from Michigan, the Island Boy.
And then everyone else is just like from those states / Alaska.
The like pseudo Brit. Oh, Coulter's from Alaska. The pseudo Brit who just like has lived in the UK for 11 years.
Teresa.
So now she's got like full accent.
Teresa. Yeah. His house is iconic. It's still an iconic house.
She's got the best house.
But yeah, I was like, I don't know. I forget. It was like stressful to watch him have to deal with the deer because it was like, you know, he had to. He couldn't just carry the whole thing.
2.5 miles from camp. So
all that meat. And then just like hoping that like a bear wouldn't find it in the meantime. Then having to like hang it,
hack it up.
It was a lot.
Carry it 2.5 miles. Yeah. I'm interested to see. He built a smokehouse. He was like, okay, well, now that I shot this deer, let me just build a whole smokehouse for my meat. Like,
yeah. Which, I mean, I guess, like, yeah, that's what you would have to do, I guess. Yeah. But I don't know. It's now that I'm thinking about the bears and like the food and like the more I think about it, the more it just like stresses me out watching it, being like, these people are going to get like mauled to death as it gets colder.
When Coulter woke up and the bears had eaten his cranberries.
Oh, yeah.
I was so sad. I was like, not Coulter's cranberries.
I was confused by Coulter and his, like, little cranberry stash. I was like, get in that goddamn boat and go fish. Like, what are you waiting for?
I think I missed something. I feel like, I swear I missed something, and it made it sound like they're only allowed to do, like, a certain type of fishing there. But they don't have any tools. Like, all their tools are handmade, so I don't know.
Yeah, they have, like, line, but that's about it. I don't know, maybe.
And then there was something about, like, the glacier, and it comes in and, like, blocks something. But then they were like, oh, the fish is back.
Like, there was, like, a landslide or...
Yeah, something.
An avalanche or... something that blocked, so there actually isn't that much fish in the lake. And I'm like, why the hell did no producer like think this through? Like,
they were like, grizzly bears and no food. Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great season. I'm like, oh my god,
most dangerous season ever.
Dangerously stupid. I don't know. We have only ever seen one season, so it's kind of hard to decipher if it's a good season or not. But I'd be looking at the comments on my TV Time app, and everyone keeps saying that it's not a very good season. So
I'm loving it.
I mean, I'm enjoying it, but apparently previous seasons are better because it's not just like I need to fish, I need to fish, I need to fish, I need to fish. I'm losing weight. There's like other things going on.
Makes sense.
So fun. We'll have to see what happens if
we'll get there once we finish season 8.
Right.
Yeah. So moving on.
Yes.
You put together, I love this. You always put together little surprises for us, and I'm just like a piece of trash over here. Like, I'll just tell everyone stories about my weird dreams.
Yeah. No, I stole this off the internet from someone called @_smallthings_in_life.
Lots of underscores.
So credit to them. I don't know if that's on Instagram or if that's on Twitter or wherever, but it's a this or that.
Yes.
And I figured I would find one that was travel related. So this will be doubly fun for me because you have a problem with choosing things. So
I'm just going to have to blurt one out, and everyone can just understand that already I'm looking at the first one and I can't pick just one. So just know that the answers that I pick are, I don't even know how to say this. Like,
you say from the gut, just choose one.
Yeah.
Okay, should we get started?
Let's get started.
We're not going to get through all of them probably, but we'll do a few of them. Okay, pack light or overpack?
Pack light.
Yeah. Ideally, what happens? The other one. So,
exactly.
Like, did I overpack for my summer in Pittsburgh by bringing a 50-pound suitcase of just tank tops? Yeah. Have I worn all of them? No. Have I worn 50% of them? No. So, yeah. All right, desert or mountain?
Mountain.
Neither.
You have to pick one. Okay, this time you're the one who's messing this up. Pick
one.
What
are you talking about? I picked one. I said pack light. And then I don't really want to go to the desert. If I have to choose, mountain, I guess.
Yeah, you have to choose. It's this or that. Mountain.
Okay. Oh. All right, next one. Lunch in a restaurant or a picnic in the park?
Lunch in a resto.
See, I thought that. And I was like, I guess I do like picnics, but I don't really
want
to
sit the whole time. You are absolutely pulling a me right now. I'm trying really hard to be decisive and not like wishy-washy. And
sometimes it's okay to think about things, but not for too long. I will choose lunch in a restaurant though, if I had to, because I don't want to sit in the grass all day.
I do love a picnic in the park, but it's for rare occasions only.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Summer holiday, winter holiday.
Summer.
Yeah, I'd have to go with summer, I guess, too. I wasn't always like that, though. Grew into that. Coffee shops or restaurants? Which, like, I don't know how this has to do with travel, but, like, okay.
Coffee shops.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. I don't know. To me, I don't get what the question is.
Fun beverages.
Yeah.
A little rest for your little feetsies when you're walking all day.
A little rest stop. Okay, rooftop views or street views?
Street views. Wait.
Rooftop.
Wait. Rooftop.
Yeah, everyone goes rooftop mostly, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're like a photographer. And then you like really love street views.
Yeah, true.
You have like a fancy camera. Relaxing or exploring?
Exploring.
Yeah, I guess I have to say the same. But there is something to be said by just doing whatever the fuck you want and not like forcing yourself to do an itinerary that I do like.
I do love that, but when I see relaxing, I think like you're just lounging inside, or you're just.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, I'd love to
like
lounge on a beach, but also just.
I guess
lounging.
it would depend. Like, you're not going to relax while you're like in the city,
right?
I guess.
Right.
So yeah, which big city, small town?
This is tough.
This is easy for me. Big city. Although I'm frequently in small towns.
I think I go big city.
Yeah.
I do love small towns, but just for like a boop, half a day.
Yeah, truly just a boop. Wake up early, sleep in.
Wake up early.
Yeah, if I had to choose. I mean, neither of us can also sleep in, so it's like, this is kind of dumb.
Yeah, there's no option there.
Sleeping in is like 8 a.m. Museum and sights or shopping and coffee?
Both, but I gotta go museums and sites because it's travel edition.
Yeah. If I'm like traveling, I guess I'm gonna go with museums and sites.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
I do love shopping and coffee, but like, it will also happen on every trip, every travel trip. That will also happen, but the amount of time spent doing museums and sites is more.
Right. Yeah. All right, use a map, walk aimlessly.
Both.
Use a map. I hate walking around aimlessly.
I always use a map, but then sometimes I just like to flâner.
But that's not what flâner is it?
Just like stroll around. You don't have any destination. You're just like...
Really flâner is moving around. I always confuse it with the sitting down one. Use public transportation or rent a car.
Public transportation.
I just don't see how these are not mutually... they're like they're not the same.
It's wild to me.
In no situation am I going to use these at the same time.
Oh, it's just wild to me because I was watching a couple of travel vlogs yesterday. And it's like I guess, famous person. Like, I had never heard of her before. The reason I heard of her is because there's this music artist that I really like who is, like, getting super famous over the last year or whatever. And so, like, they know each other. They're friends. Maybe they're in a relationship. IDK. But every time they travel somewhere together, they always get a car. Like, they always have a driver. They always rent a car. It's always an Uber or a taxi. And I'm like... But you're in New York. Like, if you wanted to get somewhere quickly, just literally hop on the subway. Or I'm like, you're in Paris. Just hop on the metro. But then I guess I'm like, he's recognizable. She is in Paris recognizable, but still, like, not everyone is going to flock up to them in the street. So I'm like, why are you always getting a car? I don't understand that. Like, why do people get cars? But it's expensive and it's not always fast. You got to wait for it to arrive. And you're sitting in traffic in New York City, in Paris. Like, that's not...
Yeah, but the subway in New York is, like, terrible. Is it not?
I mean, the stations are disgusting. You might catch a disease in there, but, like, it's fine.
There's some pretty gross Paris metro stations, too, now that I think about it. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just faster to take a car. I don't know. Right?
Maybe it is.
It's more like, also, it's like the privacy of being in a car, not having to be on a...
Yeah, the privacy of being in a car. But I don't know. I guess when I travel, I'm never... I don't know. That's not something I value.
Well, yeah. If you're in a city, you're going to take...
The transportation,
right? Yeah.
You will not catch me hiring a driver in New York City. What, so I can sit in traffic? I guess the example I'm using is different, though, because, like I said, she could be walking around New York City and not many people will recognize her, but then the people she's with, like, people will recognize, so they probably want privacy.
Yeah, I don't think the example is 100%.
No, but it just got me thinking the whole time I was watching this, and I was like, why are you always getting a car?
It was thought-provoking.
It was. Anyway.
I don't know. I would rent a car if it was, like... we're going to, like, visit these towns, or, like, we're going to the beach, or, like...
Here's the thing. You would rent a car, but you cannot drive it. So someone else has that burden.
Yeah. Which has happened before.
Which is great for you.
Well, it's great for me, but it's also great for the people I'm with, because we all have the freedom of driving around.
Driving.
Yeah, but I also have to realize that I live in a city where no one has a car. And so the people who, like, when we get a car to go somewhere... they like to drive because they haven't driven in a long time. There's a little bit of a different vibe. But also, there's something to be said about being at the beach town and being like, okay, well, we've been at the beach for 3 days in a row. Like, let's go do something else. We have the freedom of getting in the car and like dipping to another small town somewhere in the around. You know, or like going to another beach for the day or something. So there's something about the freedom of it where it's like, well, we don't have to wait for like this regional fucking bus that comes like once every 2 hours, you know, sit with a bunch of people who are also like sandy and sweaty. So, but I think they're also just, I guess
very
that's the point for this
things.
or that is just which one would you rather do?
Yeah.
But I guess I would rather be somewhere where I can just use public transportation / just call an Uber. But that's different than renting a car. An Uber is different than renting a car.
True.
Anyway, there's a couple more. We're not going to get to them. We need to take a break. And when we come back, we have a message. And we're going to talk about quiet places. Quiet, peaceful places.
Hello, everyone. Alyson here. Just wanted to say that we want to hear from you. So send us a message at 202-630-4509 or email us at amessagefrompod@gmail.com. Also, don't forget to rate and review and check out amfpod.com for bonus content. Now back to the show.
Welcome back from the break. And now it's time for us to wind down. I feel like I'm about to do, what are those things called? Like a
sleepy
guided
story.
meditation.
A bedtime story.
Or like a sleep story, yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Today we have a message from my friend Will. I had recently just talked about libraries in my recent newsletter that came out, thethird.substack.com, I think it is. And he was like just texting me or whatever. And I was like, oh, you should talk about like libraries on the podcast. And I was like, okay, cool. So the message today is talk about libraries from my friend Will in a text. Very not official, but it is what it is. So he wanted to know more about like what our favorite libraries were. Cause I was like, give me an angle, babe. I can't just do libraries, you know? So I don't know. I discussed like my childhood library in the newsletter. So I can give like a brief 1, 2, 3 on it.
Yeah.
I worked at my public library starting as like a freshman in high school, but I had like, you know, libraries were like the thing we did all summer. Just because we were readers, you know. And I worked and I ran the summer reading club program all through high school. And then I was like an assistant to the children's librarian, like after we came back from France and also before France. Because it was also the summer. So
there was an iconic photo of you. It was in the newspaper that summer.
Yeah, the Pine Creek Journal. Yes.
I will never forget that photo.
See, that's funny because I always forget about this stuff because that's from a time when my phone was apparently not backing up to the cloud. That phone was lost. And so just like waves and years of things just lost. And that's one of them. And so sometimes when it's sent to the group chat, I am reminded of that photo. I don't know if you have it on you right now.
I absolutely do have it on me. Give me a minute and I will pull it up.
I can vamp. Pull it up. It'll be funny for the video viewers, for the YouTube viewers.
Hilarious. It's too funny.
But yeah, I mean, always at libraries. It's where like my love of like language learning started for some random reason. Like they had these, this is a blast from the past. They had this section in the juvenile, like the children's section, not the juvenile section. I guess it would be called juvenile, but it doesn't matter.
Juvenile, yeah.
In the juvenile department. It was like round and it had these plastic mesh with like a plastic sheet. And it was a book that had a cassette. These were like books that came with cassettes.
Okay.
So you would like pick them out and you like check them out and take them home. Mostly they were just like, I think like read along or like sing this. They were like very, very, very infantile, right? But there were a few of them that were language learning ones that were like let's learn French, like let's learn Spanish, like let's learn Italian or maybe German. There was like a handful of them. I specifically remember the French and Spanish one. And you would check it out, right? And I would take it home and it would like pop it into the what are they called? Cassette tape player. Hit the play button, you know, like follow along, say the things with it. It was like very fun. But there was only like 2 of them. And I asked if there were more of them in other libraries because we've talked about this before. But apparently in your public library system, you can't like get things from other libraries or something, right?
I didn't know. I never thought you could, but I guess in my mind, I had done that other libraries before, but I don't think those were in the same system as my public library. So I don't know if I could or not.
I don't know. Yeah. When I first like said it to you and you were like, that's not a thing, I was like so shocked because I thought it was that. Maybe
really
it is.
don't
I
think
don't know.
that was a
I don't even know
thing,
what the right words
am I?
for it are. But sorry, there's like something on my mouth. Gross. Maybe I'll cut that unless it's hard to cut. But essentially, there were like no other cassette tape language learning things for kids at other libraries that I could like, you know, request, and then they would like bring to the library that I could check out. So what did I do? Crawled my elementary school ass over to the adult language section and checked out like you know, French 101 or whatever, and just like I remember specifically like opening up the book and like taking out another notebook because you can't write in them obviously, and just like starting and being like, what are they called? Definite articles? The letter A, A and N. Like, and I remember looking at those.
Le la le, like the is
indefinite.
Indefinite is A and.
I remember looking at the indefinite articles because it was the first thing, and I was like, I do not understand, because it was like obviously like masculine, feminine, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like 9 years old, because we were also learning Spanish in school. So, but we were, you know, learning the days of the week, like we weren't learning grammar. So I just remember like specifically opening up that thing and being like, I have no idea what the fuck is going on. And then just like returning it and being like, shit, girl. Not gonna happen. Anyway, that was the Northern Tier Regional Library, which I love 2 bits, and I haven't been in a long time.
And here's a photo of you.
That's like, is that zoomed in?
It's zoomed in. I don't have a zoomed out, but
oh, you don't have the zoomed out? Oh, that's
I don't know.
unfortunate.
I probably have the zoomed out somewhere.
Do I have to explain what's going on here? I have to explain also to the audio listeners.
Explain it. It's funny.
No, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, but you need to go to YouTube and find the timestamp for this and watch it. You
absolutely have to. It's hilarious.
That kid is screen printing and I am just watching. That's what I'll say. That's all I'll say.
The intensity on his face.
I mean, we did tell them you have to, you know, like put some, you know, muscle into it.
He put his whole entire life and every single one of his ancestors' lives into that.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Very true.
Yeah,
anyway,
so
that's like one of my favorite libraries, just purely based off of experience and memory.
That makes sense.
Is it the most beautiful I've been to? Nor. But anyway, I digress. It's very nice, though.
It's kind of the same for me. Like, my childhood library is definitely on my list. That thing was ugly. It was not nice. It was ugly. It wasn't big, but the memories, like there was a limit. I've heard recently that they got rid of the book limit, but they used to have a limit on the number of books you could check out at one time. It was 7 or 8.
DVDs and VHSs? Mm-hmm.
Just books.
Yeah.
Like 7 or 8 you could do. So when I was a kid, like in the summer, I would go there. I would check out 7 or 8 books at one time, like those Nancy Drew books. And I would fly through those, like, before even the due date. And then I would go back and be like, here's 7 more. Like, what is this limit? Rude.
To be fair, we were, like, friends with the people who worked there. So we got to circumvent a lot of things like that. If I had hair, I'd flip it. But no, that's true. Yeah, it was, like, it's one of the things where it's like, okay, well, I know I have 2 things at home already. I'm returning, like, XYZ amount. Like, how many more can... It's simple math for elementary school kids.
Yeah. We also had these really cool summer programs there. I would always attend them with my best friend, Katie. I vividly remember the animal one and then the magic show one. So we each got like a magic kit.
2 classics.
And you know how they would have like the little red fish, and it was like made out of that like flimsy vellum. And you would put it on your hand, and the heat of your hand would make it curl. So it'd be like, oh, the fish is flopping in my hand. Did you ever have one of those?
No, but I understand.
I loved that trick.
Is that a trick?
Well, it's a magic trick. Obviously, it's all made up. But
that's so funny.
I loved that.
I did win the Harry Potter trivia night and won a bunch of Harry Potter toys.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Toys I never played with because I have a problem where I don't play with things because I want them to be in pristine condition.
Wow.
Yes. It's something that's gone on to haunt me in my late 20s.
I used to not let any of my friends borrow any of my books because I had this horrible fear that they would either A, never give it back, or B, would like bend a page.
Yeah. Same.
Like if you bent a page of my book, it was like DEFCON 5. It was bad.
Yeah. Even my brother had to get separate copies of the same books because I was like, you can't touch my stuff.
I would not let my sister touch
my
books.
My therapist was like, you need to figure that out.
Yeah. I would get so mad.
Do you have anything else to say about your childhood library?
No.
I didn't realize it was ugly. Mine was, I mean, wasn't like stunning, gorgeous, but it was like new, you know?
But you lived in a larger city too, right? Or was that, yeah. Was that when you were in Pittsburgh or?
Well, in the suburbs.
Did I just say Pittsburgher?
I don't know what you said. I was paying attention.
Oh boy.
No, it was like out in the suburbs, but we would come into the city. And so actually the library that I go to now is the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh, but it's the Lawrenceville branch. And it's like in an older building. It's like very, very nice. Not very big at all.
Yeah.
Very much one of those things where I'm like, thank God I can put a holdout. Like the two books I have now are from like different libraries because like, you know, there's only a selection there, but it has like a very nice reading room, air conditioning. It's like very quiet, even though it's in the summer. I thought it'd be bumping. It's not. Love that for me. I do end up going when it's like lunchtime though. So, you know, there's that, but it has like nice big windows, like white. Love it. Love.
That's nice. Going back to the Harry Potter theme.
Oh yeah.
There was a library at my University of Michigan. It was the law. Well, there were many, but the law library was very much like Harry Potter Great Hall vibes. So like when people are there visiting, they'll just go in there just to take pictures of the reading room in that library. And then obviously there are like the law students who are like, get the F out. I'm trying to study. But it's literally like you don't make a peep in that library. You do not make a sound. It's
for fear that
it's dead quiet. Like someone will shoot daggers at you if you make a sound. Shit. But it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Absolutely love that library.
Okay, so counter story, not important. My university library, for all the money that everybody paid except for me to go there, it was a hunk of shit. Like, it was so ugly. Still is. Pretty sure it hasn't changed. It's like this like horrific metal contraption. Very small for the fact that like Carnegie Mellon is like full of people who are just like studying all the time, right? Like, like any university, right? But like I'm pulling, like there was only one floor you could be on if you were pulling an all-nighter. Like, how is that possible? Like I pulled many an all-nighter, like, and I wasn't the only one, right? There were like certain sections of it that I really liked. There was like this one section on the second floor that had like only like 6 or 7 of these. Like there was nowhere to sit. I don't understand. But it was like these weird, like kind of like something you would see like in a park. Maybe it was like a wooden chair that like automatically had a table, but it was like a single stall, like very thin, right? Like fit my little frame. And it was just like against the wall on the windows. So it was like nice because you could like look out on to whatever was on the side there. Yeah. But there was only like 6 of them anyway. There was just like no seating. So because I could never study there, people would study other places on campus. Me being from Pittsburgh already and having like kind of been to some of the libraries, if you just walked across the bridge down by like the mechanical engineering building and went over to like where Pitt is essentially, this is like a 5-minute walk, you can go to the main Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh, which is connected to the History and Art Museum. That thing is old school, massive, and personally for me, very gorgeous. There's like a section, if you're looking at the actual stacks, you can like look into the dinosaur room of the museum.
That's cool.
New. Yeah. Which they've like redone and stuff. But there's like a big reading room and it's like, you know, old school like lamps that you like, you know, and like paintings of like the late 1800s where everyone's like a tycoon, those type of lamps. But it's like, it's not exactly quiet, but it's like, it's nice. And so I would go there a lot to do work because I was like, well, I don't want to sit at XYZ cafe on campus, or like scrounge to find like the one chair at the library, or like, you know, me trying to like figure it out in the humanities building. So I would just be like, all right, bye. I'm just going to go off campus for like a 5-minute walk and go there. All my friends were like, why would you go there? And I'm like, why would you not go
pretty
there? Yeah.
I mean, we had, so the other two main libraries on campus, there was the undergrad and the grad library. The undergrad, they had like recently remodeled, or were in their process of remodeling it at one point in time while I was there. But that was like the party library. Like if you were on the basement, the ground floor, or one floor up, like were people doing work? Who knows? Everybody was talking. It was always packed. Like if you had a group project, you would go there and work on it. It was always just like loud, and a lot was happening. Always very busy. And then if you would get up to the third floor, there was like a little connector bridge that would connect to the grad library. And they had some like, that was quieter floor, and they had some nice larger tables by windows and stuff. But the grad library, you had the reading room on the second floor, which was gorgeous too, like the same old school lamps, like very high vaulted ceilings, beautiful, beautiful. Also pretty quiet, but like you won't get shanked if you speak in there, whereas like in the law library, like someone might get you. But then you had the stacks for like on the floors above that. It was like floors, there were like 5 or 6 floors worth of stacks. And around, because it was just like a rectangular building, all around the outside of the stacks were like individual study cubes. So it had a door that would open. It had a desk that was it was like a decent sized desk. And then they all had almost all of them had windows. I think they all had a window in it. And it was just like, they had doors that would close. So nice. And it was like, you could just go post up in there for hours, but it was like sometimes at busy times, you know, you would like walk an entire floor. They would be all full. Go up to the next floor, walk that whole floor. Like you had to look for one, but they were nice.
That's nice.
Nice, like it was very easy to concentrate and get work done in there, but not nice as in like modern. Oh,
yeah. Useful.
Like,
they were useful.
They were useful. Smelly old library stacks, but they were useful.
Yeah. If I had to choose like I guess like I was trying to think of like lists of libraries I've actually like really been to. And it's like, I think maybe like on one hand, like I haven't actually been to that many, I guess I'd be on 2 hands if I would be realistic.
Yeah.
That many like actual like, wow, like I really fondly remember this library, right? Like
same.
It had to be, like I said, children's library that I went to, or library when I was a child, you know, Northern Tier Regional, the 2 Carnegie libraries of Pittsburgh I've been to. And then there's like other ones, but they don't like, you know, wowee, you know?
Do you have a wowee? I was just going to ask, what is your wowee?
My wowee is I was a freak as a child and forced my parents to go and get us library cards to the Library of Congress on one of our trips to DC.
What?
And so like as a kid, I was a teen. We like went in, which in hindsight, like so dumb, like just kind of, it was just so clear that we clearly weren't going to be studying anything. Like we were just like looking around, which like probably shouldn't have done. But anyway, I already knew how to do that. So when I moved to DC again to study for a semester, I lived like right behind the Supreme Court building, which is right next to the Library of Congress, and you know, Capitol Hill. So I applied again for a card, got it, and went there a few times to like actually do work. Only problem I didn't go more often is because you have to like check your bag and you like carry your shit past like into the reading room, you know? And you're supposed to like actually read books that you like request from the library there, right? Because you can't take anything out of it. But I went and like just did some work because it was so close. So on my 21st birthday, I celebrated by going, it was a Friday, I went to the Library of Congress reading room, sat there, wrote a paper due later for a class that I had that Friday, before then, you know, going out for sushi and whatever I did for my 21st birthday. Very iconically, like, sent out a Facebook status of being like, just doing some work, like, at like happy 21st birthday to myself, like at Library of Congress or whatever reading room. Did not.
Love that.
It didn't do the numbers I was expecting it to do at the time on Facebook. So a little depressing, but that's like, wowie, it's beautiful. Like, I mean, I haven't even been to like the National Library in Spain. I walk by it all the time, but I never go in there. I don't think I've been to a fancy library in Paris or like in France, really.
No, I just went to like my local library in Nice. I got a library card there and would check out books, and it was just like basic, average library.
I've been to like libraries and monasteries on like tours, but like that
doesn't count.
I'm not gonna look at those books.
So. I've been to what?
Do you have a Wowie?
Yeah, I have a Wowie. Okay. I've been to one Wowie. It was when I was working for a senator in Canada. Had an internship, and the Library of Parliament in Canada.
Oh.
Gorgeous.
Oh, look at us both having government-related library Wowies.
Oh my gosh, it was beautiful. The outside of the building was like gorgeous, Gothic architecture, like all their other Parliament buildings. Beautiful. And you go inside, and it's circular. So you go inside and you get into the middle on the main floor. And it's beautiful. There are like tables. I remember there was like this bust, like this statue bust in there. It's just like some artwork and stuff. But then you look up and it's just tiers of like gorgeous bookshelves and like wrought iron railings and stuff. But like you're beautiful, but you're not allowed up there. They don't just let like the average person up there. Even though I had like an employee ID badge, I couldn't go up to the higher levels. It was bad.
That I think it's like reserved only for staff or something to like get you books probably.
Yeah. But oh, it was beautiful.
I know.
Loved that.
I would love to work in a library again.
Oh, same.
People made fun of me in high school, but I think now, because I like just sat in a library like literally all day. I mean, there was air conditioning, so I couldn't really complain, but I wasn't out like tanning and like being at the pool like all my friends were, unfortunately. But I was making money.
AC, money, books, quiet. Like, what more could you want?
Yeah. And I just sat on a laptop all day. And in those days, I would Facebook all day, mama. Well, something just fell next to me.
I was like, is someone in the room with you?
Oh my God. I think that's our cue to wrap it up.
Yes. So on that note, if you have a Wowie library or even just like an average library you want to share.
Tell us about your average libraries.
Tell us about your average libraries, because we clearly love libraries and books. Or tell us about anything you want to talk about. Give us a call at 202-630-4509, or you can email us at amessagefrompod@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate and review. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Like and subscribe. And we have a website as well, amfpod.com. You can check out the podcast and blog posts on there as well. So hit us up, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.